So here we go, off to Basset's Pole tonight. Basset's Pole biker meet on my Yamaha MT09 bike. I absolutely love living the dream with this bike. Does everything I need a bike to do, more than enough power for me. So going up to Basset Pole, there's a biker meet there every Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. What day is it? The 15th, I think. On my lonesome today because my buddy Al is on holiday in Wales, who I normally do this trip with, and my other buddy Nick could have looked him up, could have gone with him, but I wasn't really sure till almost last minute if I was actually going to go today. So I decided not to, just to go on my own this time. It gives me a chance to do a bit of riding and talking. At the time of me talking into this microphone, I actually earned my second stripe on YouTube. So I've been a bad boy again, but not intentionally. Apparently, yeah, the second strike means you can't post for 2 weeks. The first strike was 1 week, the second strike is 2 weeks. That's censorship for you in the 21st century. I'll come on to what I got the strike for and the temporary ban for in a moment, but needless to say, if you get a third strike within the same period, then what they do is super harsh. They delete your YouTube account. You lose all your vids. So they have this ultra hard approach to anything to do with COVID. So I'll come on to how I got the second strike, badge of honour. I guess I probably should have read their terms and conditions, because if you put anything on there that they deem to be medical misinformation, they'll give you a strike. The video in question was simply a video about how going in a sauna, I have to be careful now not to say the word, don't I? Otherwise I'll get another strike when I upload this video. Let's just say that certain viruses that inhabit the nasal cavities don't like hot air, and that's why they inhabit the nasal cavities. And all this video was saying is saunas could help to destroy certain viruses, shall we say. Leave it at that. So that got me a strike. I didn't appeal it, I just removed the video. But yeah, this kind of information is a real threat to the powers that be. They don't like it. So as I said before, it's their platform, and in some ways working within the limits of what their platform allows, which is not a free speech platform at all. It's a narrative platform, but working within the constraints of what the platform allows is kind of a discipline of itself, and it's kind of a good discipline. So you have to, if you want to push the limits, the boundaries of what is acceptable, then you have to learn how close to the sun you can fly. And in this case I misjudged it, because I can't actually be bothered to read their terms and conditions. So I guess really the lesson from it is, don't post anything that could challenge the official line on how said virus and other diseases may be treated. Now, I don't know how far they take that medical misinformation. Like, if you put something about grapefruits reducing your risk of heart attack, could you get a strike for that? I don't know. So, but really the videos I'm having success with on YouTube are educational shorts about my top man, Yasha Heifetz, a violinist, Russian Jewish violinist who I've been a fan of since I was about 23. So that's 23 years of my life. I've been a fan of his. And so the videos that I post about him has what's pushed up my subscriber list to around 30, where it was for like years, to almost pushing on 100. I need to take this van on in a safe place. 200, sorry, pushing on 200 subscribers. So I'm going to be interested to see if I get any additional subscribers during my ban period, because that will just be people viewing what I've already put out there. And some of the videos are, sometimes you think that if a video hasn't reached, like, gone viral within a couple of days, that it's not going to make it. But actually some of these videos are crawling up, which leads me to believe that some of the sort of classical music violin videos that were posted, say, 6-7 years ago, that are now on 30k or something, probably started off hovering around a few hundred for a long time, and then over time the viewing figures crept up. So that's encouraging when you're trying to build up your YouTube channel. And to be honest, I'm happy to just stick to violin stuff on YouTube, and I don't consider violin mediocre, tittle-tattle, trashy at all, the opposite. But I guess you can put some of those kind of videos on there that are like, you know, a monkey swinging off a tree to jump on a wall, which is one of them I put on there. Or my gooseberries have done well this year, which went viral, I think, if I remember correctly. And leave the truth stuff, free speech stuff, to Odyssey. I'll put links to my Odyssey channel. This is just a nice gentle ride here, because I, in my wisdom, decided to do the ride straight as rush hour kicked off, or shortly thereafter. Never mind, I might get some overtaking opportunities coming up. So yeah, like I say, the discipline of working within the limits of what the censorship platforms allow you to say or post. I don't actually resent it, because I view it as a good discipline, and maybe you can fly close to the sun on some of these topics, but in a way that's probably not going to offend people, because, you know, you present some of these ideas to some people who may be used to looking at violin shorts, and it could freak them out. I guess they could unsubscribe. So perhaps that discipline of that could make you sort of put it in a more palatable way, and a way that leaves the person able to read a bit between the lines of what you're trying to say. And if they're thick and they don't get it, then tough luck. So this ride, my channel's called CryptoSmith. This ride and talk is kind of like a copy of some of the walk and talk bloggers. Most of the ones I follow are banned off YouTube, so I have to go onto other platforms to listen to them talking about crypto. The collapse of fiat, the collapse of the banking system, the collapse of the dollar eventually. When that will happen, who knows? But the US is 33 trillion in debt. There's record credit card debt. People are unable to pay. So just a debt. It's almost like they're just driving it into the ground now, and the parasites of the system are just trying to extract whatever can, rob whatever they can through tax before it's completely crashed. So yeah, CryptoSmith is supposed to be a ride and talk about crypto, but that was the intention. Ended up with a below par camera. Still need to sort out a decent camera. And I ended up getting distracted in making videos that are much more successful, because I'm not very influential in the crypto world, about violin and things like that, you know. But I thought I'd come back to what this channel was supposed to be about. However, there isn't really much for me to say, because we're still not really properly out of the bear market, to be honest. We're not really in the bulls yet. But when it does kick off, when the bull market does kick off, then I think the altcoins, some of the altcoins that I'm interested, particularly privacy coins, will take off, because they really are at rock bottom, except I would say Monero, which has been a super stable coin, privacy stable coin during this almost virtually. It's not really shifted from 150, so that would be a good coin to bag. And some of the cheaper privacy coins that are really super low, that are ready to take off, again, like Pirate Chain, Dero is low compared with the all-time high. I think it was 25, 28. They need to come up with a decent wallet, I think, mobile wallet. That would help them. But you know, and other projects like Radiant, and of course Bitcoin itself is low comparatively, and stable, so it's dropped a little, but it's not dropping much below 29 at the moment. And some big players are getting into Bitcoin now, like BlackRock and ETFs and hedge funds, and big players going to muscle in and probably take over Bitcoin, and it may become difficult in the future to actually buy Satoshis once these guys take over. Those of us who are into Monero probably don't really care, but could still be a good time to buy some BTC is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's it. HODL, accumulate HODL, dollar cost average. Nothing much else happening really. So that's why I've been working on the theory, as I mentioned in my previous ride and talk. Eventually getting around to reading the books on Austrian economics, and some other books. So there's 2 books I've got on the go at the moment on Amazon, Audible. I'm using Audible and I listen to them when I do my workout on my cycle home. So those books are The Creature of Jekyll Island, which is a classic by Jedward Griffin, and then the other book is, I can't remember the exact title, but I'll put it up on the screen. Strange Tales from Laurel Canyon, or Strange Tales from the Canyon, which is about mysterious happenings in Laurel Canyon, like Hollywood, LA, amongst showbiz stars, actors, strange scenes inside the canyon. So I'll talk a little bit about both of those books. The second book has nothing to do with crypto really, other than how the world is ruled, I guess, which is a relevant topic. Let this fan go. And how they control how they keep the showbiz stars, glitterati, the actors, under control. What happens to them when they step out of line, I guess. So I'll talk about that, but first just want to touch on where I've got with Jedward Griffin. I haven't made huge progress, but I did do, on one of the early chapters, it did cover the 2008 financial crisis in some detail, and it's quite fascinating because it talks about how the banks were immune from what they did. No one went to prison, to my knowledge, and total immunity for mismanaging all that money and causing a global financial crash. And they didn't dare give, after a point, the CEOs of these banks and that a bonus, an annual bonus, because of the stink it would have caused while people were like being repossessed from their homes and kicked out of their jobs. So what they did instead, according to Jedward Griffin, is they gave them pay rises. They gave these people... Oh, I've taken a wrong turn. Shoot. Let's see if it redirects me back. Yeah, I need to go back, I think. Calculating. Let's turn it. Yeah, it's wanting me to turn back. So what was I saying? They gave the executives in these banks that failed, like were bought by other banks and things like that. They gave them pay rises instead of bonuses. So it was like a disguised bonus, but no one knew about it, and it ensured that that there wasn't an uproar. So they're sneaky, aren't they? If you lose like money, if you work in like as a cashier in a bank and you lose them 100 quid, you know, be serious repercussions for that. But they can lose billions, trillions through mismanagement, through deliberate whatever they got up to, and there's not even a slap on the wrist. They just move on within the club to some other position with or get a pay rise first. So that was interesting takeaway from that. But yeah, I look forward to continuing with the G. Edward Griffin book. And there's actually a verse from Daniel in the Bible that springs to mind. Daniel chapter 5, from where the saying "the writing is on the wall" comes from, when Daniel sees like this finger writing on the wall, and it's about to be the end of the Babylonian Empire. They're about to be killed by the Medes and the Persians, and so Daniel the prophet is called before the Babylonian king to explain the meaning tekel parsin, and then he explains that you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting, and your days are numbered, and your kingdom will be taken away by the Medes and the Persians. But it's that point, might be chapter 5 verse 25, weighed in the balance and found wanting. And that's how you could describe this whole economic system based on Keynesian economics and the fiat system, which is fractional reserve banking, debt based. All they want you to do is not to save, like the Austrian economics would want you to, but they just want you to spend, and get into more and more and more debt. And whilst they themselves continue on their money printing spree to support their agendas, whether that's whatever that is, lockdowns or foreign wars that they have to print the money to finance because they can't afford it otherwise. So the war in Ukraine, it's just like trillions of dollars, trillions of pounds, billions of pounds maybe, and that's how they send these cluster bombs and things to Ukraine. They don't have the money to do it, they just print it out of thin air, and then that causes inflation, which is a hidden tax on the middle class and the poor. And but they themselves, they invest in deflationary assets, so they're immune from inflation, and money is siphoned off from the taxpayer, and all this and that. It's all of it is well known now. So that's what the Creature from Jekyll Island is all about, and the roots of that go back to 1913 and the creation of the Federal Reserve. I think it's 1913, just before World War I, I guess. Often these things coincide with a war, like as what happened with when Nixon unpegged from gold. Oh, what's going on here? When Nixon unpegged from gold to continue to finance the Vietnam War because raising tax would have been unpopular. Anyway, I spoke about all this on the last bike ride when I went to Stratford with Al. So you can watch that video. I won't go into that too much more. So yeah, that's it from crypto. Nothing much happening, just continue to accumulate and hodl and wait for the bull run to kick off. No further advancements since the last update. Not financial advice anyway. But there you are. So This brings me now on to the second book, which is about strange scenes inside the canyon. Super interesting. As I say, G. Edward Griffin's book is amazing, but it doesn't grip you like this book does, because the subject matter, economics is quite a boring topic, really, for the average person like me. But this topic is really fascinating. It reminded me of the 27 Club, so all these musicians that mysteriously die age 27, from Kurt Cobain to Jimi Hendrix to Robert Johnson, the guy who sold his soul to the devil at the Crossroads, to who else? Janis Joplin. It's called the 27 Club. And then how, and I wish I could remember the names of the houses. People who live in certain houses in Hollywood, and multiple people move into the same house and end up dying in that house, but they're all like actors and that, almost like the house is cursed or something weird. And then this guy who was some sort of a dancer and became very popular in Hollywood, again I can't remember his name offhand, but it's like a Lithuanian sounding name. And I had a little baby, and weirdly enough, this baby, I'll put the details on the screen, the baby was due to appear in a film as Satan. And what ended up happening is the baby fell off the roof of these people's house while some kind of Hollywood photo shoot was going on. And the baby then died in hospital later. And so the baby couldn't start, or infant, toddler should we say, not toddler, couldn't star in this Satan movie. So somebody else ended up starring in it. And, oh man, my sat-nav's, I don't want to go on the M6, no way. I'm not going on the M6, screw that. I don't really know where I'm going, but I ain't going on the M6. Dudes. So let's recalculate. What was it saying? Yeah, so this baby died, highly mysterious. The weirdest thing is, after the baby was rushed to hospitals, the parents went out to party. And anyway, as this video will probably end up on YouTube, I won't dig any deeper on this video into like these topics of what can happen to kids and things. Just read the book yourself, because it's dark but it's fascinating, and just the number of people who died mysteriously by suicide, actors, it's almost like these actors in Hollywood and showbiz stars have to, they're controlled and they have to do what they're told, and if they don't, many of them sort of, this is what the book is saying, basically saying anyway, stuff happens to them. What was I going to say? I just had a thought. Yeah, this is the other fascinating thing, which people like me that love that whole 60s and 70s musical movement, you know, The Doors, Frank Zappa, The Byrds, Dave Crosby, who formed Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I think it's the same guy from The Byrds. How many of these musicians are linked by family to top brass US military? So in the case of Jim Morrison, his dad was like Admiral Morrison or something, in charge of the Navy in Vietnam at the time of the Bay of Tonkin. So some people will say that was a false flag, that the North Vietnamese didn't actually bomb the American Navy, that it was what you call a false flag. They either they bombed themselves, or there was no bomb. There wasn't, you know. So the guy in charge of the Navy at that time was Jim Morrison's dad. It goes into as well how Frank Zappa's, I think it's Frank Zappa, his parents were involved high up in the military. He grew up on military bases or something, and so many, like Dave Crosby, so many of these people have parents who are quite high up, and so it kind of throws into question the whole hippie movement itself and what was behind it. You know, was it from a higher ups kind of control grid, or was it a rebellion by the youth? I think probably a bit of both. It's another fact that another meme I came across on David Wolf's Telegram channel that I might be able to find the post and put it on here. The reason they had to stop fighting the Vietnam War was because the American GIs simply refused to fight, and so they could no longer continue the Vietnam War. So it was like a non-compliance event, really. Otherwise, maybe they would have carried on with that stupid, pointless war. So I think there's an element of both. I think there was definitely a lot of movement against the Vietnam War amongst the youth and civil rights movement and everything. But the fact that there's a link there between many of these prominent Laurel Canyon musicians and American top brass, military top brass, this is what the book explores, and I recommend it. It's super fascinating reading. And if you want to just, you know, be ignorant to these things, my brother's like that, my younger brother. He's like averse to any sort of conspiracy stuff. He doesn't see how it advances his life, and if that's the case, just listen to The Doors, Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Dave Crosby, The Byrds, and don't question it any further. But if you're like me and you want to dig into what's really going on, or at least, even if that's not the absolute truth of what's going on, at least look at an alternative angle on it, then read books like these, because they give you definitely different perspective. And I don't know what blinking way I've come here today. It's better when I come with Al, because I come a more interesting route. And today I'm following my sat nav and it's not the best ever, really. So where are we here? It's telling me to go down here, so let's see how we go. Alright, national speed limit. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, that's all that kind of heavy stuff. I wanted to talk about nocebo and placebo, and I'll be super careful about what I say because it's YouTube. And I'll get a flipping third strike and all my videos will be deleted. Which, many of the people I respect have had that happen to them. But I kind of don't really want it to happen to me. So, nocebo and placebo. Placebo, I think most people know about. It's when let's give an extreme example. A person has got terminal cancer and they're told they've got, say, a month to live, and they're given a new drug, in inverted commas. It's not really a new drug at all. All it is a sugar pill, but they've told the person it's a new drug. And what happens is they take it and they get better. There was a National Geographic article about this. Described the process. I read this once. Described the process of how the body self-medicates. How the body self-medicates when you think in your mind that you're going to get better from a disastrous disease, and basically the body releases certain chemicals that make you better. So the body self-medicates. But I don't think anyone can really pinpoint how it is that placebo works exactly. Something is where I want to go, I think. But it is a phenomenon, and that's why you have placebo trials. Pothole. Nasty pothole. I'm glad I didn't smack into that. Let's keep my eyes open now. So that's how that... Oh, look at these potholes, man. This is what you pay your road tax for. What's it saying? Placebo, yeah. So most people have heard about placebo. They maybe, I don't know, the average person digs into it very deeply, but the power of the mind making you heal, yeah, and the emotions, and your sheer willpower. I know a mother, I used to know a mother, I think she did eventually die of cancer, but she was diagnosed with cancer. She was riddled with cancer all over her body. Her name was Jane. And she had a little boy at the time. She was a single mum. She did have her mum supporting her. She was given months to live. And she survived and survived and survived for years. She defied against all the odds. You know, she didn't die. And even though multiple times the doctors were giving her like months to live, and I think when she eventually passed away, like her little boy was like probably 6 or 7, and when she eventually passed away, he was grown up. He was like maybe late teens, early 20s. So that's the power of placebo. And now, but what about nocebo? I don't think many people have heard about or dug too deeply into nocebo, which is the opposite of placebo. So let's say, for example, you go to your doctors, you go for some routine checkup, and the doctor sort of says, we need to check something and you need to come back, and you go back, and then they say, we're sorry to inform you, you've been diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer. And it's not treatable. Now, imagine this was a really nasty doctor. I'm sure no doctor would do this, and the whole thing's just a lie, right? Or maybe a misdiagnosis. Intentions are good, but it's misdiagnosis. The person has zero cancer, but they've been told by experts that they do have cancer. So what happens? They get the disease, yeah, and here I am, I've made it, and they die. Or, and this apparently is a scientific study, a real one, where they gave somebody chemotherapy, in inverted commas. It wasn't chemo, it was just like water, and with the negative power of nocebo, their hair actually fell out, even though there was no chemo. Anyway, here I am at Bassett's Pole. I'm going to shut up now, and I might talk a little bit about on the return journey, but maybe not. But I'm going to check out the bikes now. So, cool. Ciao for now. Let's have a quick look at the bikes. Hardly any bikes here tonight, man. Weather's been too bad. There's like nothing here tonight. A bit of a shame. few bikes, but nowhere near as many as normal. Don't know where everyone is, as the weather's been like so bad for so long. You'd think people would make the effort tonight.